Good evening, ma. Okay. We have someone here already.
Good evening.
Good evening. Happy Sunday.
Same to you.
Yeah. Our service today.
Fine.
Okay. So I don't know. Should we just wait for 4 minutes for others to join?
Yes.
Let me just notify them that
Okay.
the class was. Okay. Are you still there, ma?
Yes, I'm still there.
Okay. Let's start. So I want to believe that others will join as soon as they come online. Coming, I'm trying to share my link. I'm coming. Let me share the material I want to use. I'll be using. Sorry. So can you see my screen now?
I can see it.
Okay. So this, okay, yeah. So this is right, CITN, right? So chapter, are you there?
Yes.
Okay, I said this is a CITN class. So the foundation level, right?
Yes, please.
For the Institute of Taxation, Nigeria. So I'll be the one taking you economics and with other with a colleague. Yeah, so I don't know for now, but let's just talk about now. So I'll be handling your economics. So and I don't know if you have the syllabus to your economics, I mean the classes. So there's a syllabus for it for me. So under the syllabus, we have, okay, let me record it. Okay, yeah. So under the syllabus, we have economics. Yeah. So then when the aim and the objective, are you with me, Ma? So the aim and the objective of this course is to examine, each student that will be attending this class, the knowledge and understanding of the basic economic principle and the main features of Nigerian economic system. Are you following? Are you guys with me? Okay, so then also,
Yes.
okay, thank you. Also to intimate the students with the basic concepts of the microeconomics and the macroeconomics policy. So we have two scope of economics. So we have the what we call the micro, then we have what we call the macro. So talking about micro deals with it's explain economics from the aspect of individual level, while the macroeconomics explain economics from aggregates. Do you understand now? So then, and how they apply to the real world. So that's the basic thing we'll be doing as far as this cost is concerned. Then we have the cost context. So I don't know if there's a material for this course. So we have the microeconomics, which is part one. So then we talk about the nature and the meaning of economics. So we have the price system, that's number two under the microeconomics. We have the consumer behavior. We have the production and cost. Then the last one under microeconomics, we have the theory of firms and location of industry. Then the part two, we have macroeconomics. Under microeconomics, we have the national income analysis. We have the money, banking, and other financial institutions. Then we have the public finance. The fourth one, we have the inflation and unemployment. Then the fifth one, we have the growth and development. The sixth one, we have the international trade and finance. So the last one, which is the seventh one, we have the regional and the international economies integration. But for now, we'll be starting with the first, the first topic, which is unit one. I will call it unit one, which talks about basically the introduction to economies and economy. Do you understand? So then, which is refers to as the nature and the meaning of economies in your course outline. So for the first topic, which is under part one, so we'll be considering the fundamental concepts. So the fundamental concept here talks about the meaning of economies, the scarcity, the choice, the scale of preference, and the opportunity cost, which can be classified under the fundamental concept of what economics. Then we have what we call the economic model and the economic method. So there's a difference between the models and the methods. Then the third one, we have the microeconomics and the macroeconomics. So then the fourth one, we have the economic system. So which can also, the economic system, so which also will be talking about the central problems of an economy. So then we have the production possibility curve and the resources allocation. Then the sixth one, we have the types and resources allocation under different economic system, free market economy, and centrally controlled economy, mixed economy. Are you following what I'm saying? So for this, yeah, we start. So we have introduction to economies and economy. So there's always a difference between the two. Are you following what I'm saying now? So there's always a difference between the two. Who can tell me the difference between, economics and economy? Is anybody there? Is there anybody there? Are we there? Are we listening? Do I still have our attention?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I can't really differentiate, but I know economics is a social science. So economy should be talking about the uh like a state. I just can't really put it so.
Okay, thank you so much. So let me quickly tell you the difference. So when we say economics, you're right, economics, I think right from secondary school days, we should be used to this, unique definition about, I call it unique because it's still the acceptable definition still now. Are you there? So we can say it's a social science that study the human behavior in relationship to the ends and scars, which have alternative, use. So why some people will say economy is a social science that study how society allocates scarce resources to satisfy their unlimited wants and needs. And one thing about it is that it encompasses the production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services. Do you understand? So then for economy, so economy refers to a system. Let me say it refers to a system by which a society organizes its resources, production, trade, and consumption. In government, for those that did government in school, will tell you that, a state, do you understand? They can say a state or a country. A state can also be likened as a country. Do you understand? So, but in economics, we don't make use of states. Do you understand? Because when we say state, state is just like a geographical, location, or should I say geographical boundary. But in economics, we make use of economy. So when we are talking about economy, it means we are trying to refer it as a system by which a society organizes its resources. So in this case, economy can also be likened as what? A state. Do you understand? But in this case, it's not just a state. Do you understand? It's a system. We can say it's a system, or it can be likened as a state, which has a system by which a society organizes its resources and production, trade, and what? And consumption. Are you following what I'm saying?
Yes.
Are you still with me?
Yes.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Coming, I think I'm having issue here. Sorry. Okay, I'm coming. Okay, can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah. So in the introduction to economics, now you understand the difference between the economies and the what? The economy. Do you understand? So we have a structure here. So I create a structure. Under the structure, we have the objectives, we have the introduction. Can you see that? Then we have the concept of scarcity. We have the meaning of production. We have the central problems of an economy, which are about 6 of them. We have what to produce, how to produce, from whom to produce, the problem of growth, choice between public and private goods. Are you following? We have the problem of merit goods production. Then we have the PPC. So we have the allocation of resources, solution of central problems. Then we have economic methodology and economic loss. Then we have the positive versus normative economy. We have the microeconomics and the macroeconomics. We have what we call the stocks and flow. We have statics and dynamics. Then we have, and all of this. So they are going to be a little terminal question and all of that. So you can practice that when you get home. So if you look at the objective, we have, okay, you can practice that maybe later after the class. So we have the objective. So the objective, you must be able to explain at the end of this class, you must be able to explain the problem of scarcity of resources for satisfying ever increasing wants of the society. Then you must also be able to state the meaning and the nature of an economy, describe the concept of economic entity, then discuss the concept of production possibility curve. Are you following? Then also state the issue relating to allocation of resources between investments and consumption, and between private and what? And public goods. And explain the method of resources allocation in a market economy, in a socialist economy, and in a mixed economy. Are you following? Then clearly describe the basic concept of methodology of the economists, then also states the nature of economics law, and explain some of the analytical concepts associated with economic reason. I hope I'm not too fast, right? Am I too fast? Am I?
No,
I'm too
no.
fast. Okay. All right. So then we go to the introduction. So, there are a lot of peoples, a lot of wonderful peoples, professors, scholars that define economy. A lot of people defined economics. Do you understand? So, but we can begin with defining the discipline of economics. Do you understand now? So to me, I will tell you, are you following what I'm saying now? So in a very simple definition, I can say economic is a science. Do you get what I'm saying now? So if anybody, apart from the general, the generally acceptable definition, I'll tell you that economic is a science because it adopts inquiries such as collection of words of data. Do you understand now? Because it adopts an inquiry that has to do with collections of data. Do you understand? So why some people is going to tell you that economy is a sorry, grammar more on class. Okay. Ma, you're just international. Okay, sorry about that. So I also, sorry about the break. Then I also okay, some people will also tell you that it's a science, that study resources. Do you understand? That study nation resources. Do you get what I'm saying now? So there are a lot of definitions. Do you understand? But there are basic things you have to understand, and you have to include while trying to define economics. Do you understand? So meaning economics has been defined by various people. A lot of people has defined economics in various ways, in various aspects. Do you understand? So while people will tell you that economics is the study of what? Scarcity. Do you get what I'm saying now? So economic is the study of scarcity. Some will tell you, are you getting my explanation?
Yes.
Hello? Are you getting my explanation now, or am I too fast?
No.
Okay, okay. I'm just having a feeling I'm too fast. Someone like Adam Smith, Adam Smith now. Adam Smith defined economy as a science of wealth. Do you understand? Adam Smith, a divine economy as a science of wealth, meaning a nature that causes the wealth of, or let me say, it's a nature. Adam Smith sees economic as a nature that causes the wealth of a nation. Do you understand what I'm saying? And we have someone also called JBC. So JBC define economy as a study of the law which governs wealth. Do you understand? So I can begin to tell you different people that define economics. There's one other wonderful guy, L.M. France, has classified economy into different type. I think it's two different type, which is called type A and type B. So he believed that type A, for the definition of type A, is related to wealth and material welfare, while type B is related to scarcity of what? Of means, or scarcity of resources. So the means there is talking about the what? The resources. Do you get what I'm saying now? So there are a lot of definition. There are a lot of people that has defined economics. Do you understand? So, but looking at the board, we see economics has been variously defined, as summarized by Sam Wilson. Some of the definition seeks to explain that economic analyzes how a society, institution, and technology affect prices and the allocation of resources among different uses. Do you understand? He also summarizes it as they explore the behavior, the science that explore the behavior of a financial market, including interest rate and stock prices. He also examine the economics as the distribution of income and suggests ways that the poor can be helped without harming the performance of the economy. Then it's also the study of the business cycle that examine how monetary policy can be used to moderate the swing in unemployment and inflation. Do you understand? Then as a pattern of trade among nations and an analysis, the impact of trade barriers, then also looks at it from the example of growth in developing countries and propose way to encourage the efficient use of what resources. Do you get what I'm saying now? So there are various people that has what explain what economics really means. Do you understand? So let me now explain in my own way. Do you get what I'm saying now? So let me now explain to you in a way I think it's going to create a better understanding. So firstly, economic is important. I will start by saying that economic is very important. And why is it important? Because it emphasizes the fact that all governments have economic advisor. So have you been to a nation or a state where there's no economic advisor? Do you understand? So there's no nation or country or state you are going to get to now that you won't see someone who will be either commission for advisor or ministry of advisor or, so advisor for economics matter. Do you understand what I'm saying now? So because it is important because all government have economic advisor, and that there are articles about economy in an almost daily basis. Do you get it now? So, and apart from that, it is also important because it explains the aspect, there's a aspect of human being that science cannot explain. So why do we say economic is a science? It is a science because it also studies the aspect of what human that science cannot give an explanation to. Let's say, for instance, maybe you have a wonderful budget, you want to go to the market, get get this and that, and you get to the market and discover that the price of goods has skyrocketed. So what will be your reaction? Will you be happy or sad? Will you be happy? I believe you go to market very well. So will you be happy? I can hear you.
I'll be sad.
You'll be very sad. You will be happy. Are you following? So science cannot explain that behavior. Do you understand? So the fact that you are not happy with the fact that you go to the market and discover that the price of all goods has increased, you are not going to be happy. So can science, pure science, can they explain that reaction?
No.
No. So the only subject that can explain that reaction is the economists. So they will tell you that the reason why this person is sad is basically because of the economic situation. Do you understand? So there's an aspect of human behavior that cannot be explained by science. Do you understand? So are you following what I'm saying? Then apart from that, economic is also a discipline that studies society, that study how society makes use of scarce resources to satisfy human wants. Do you understand? It also study how society make use of scarce resources to study human wants, basically because it provides us an economic way of thinking. So for someone who study economics, like for me, I'm an economics student. I'm still studying economics. Do you understand now? So it has really helped me in the way of thinking. Do you understand? Economically. So studying economics can actually bring you into can give you a very wide thinking faculty. Do you get what I'm saying now? So yeah, I'm trying to explain why people study economics. Do you understand? So there are various reasons why people study economics to help them think, to also help, the society. So it helps the societies to study it helps the society to study how they can make use of scarce resources to satisfy human wants. And there are different definitions, but the most acceptable definition of economics is the one defined by who?
Adam Smith.
Is it Adam Smith?
Abby? That's what I know.
Yes.
Or is it Marshall? Is it John the Marshall? Which one?
Professor, the name, Professor Line Robbins. Are you following? So are you there? Yeah. Are you there?
Yes.
Okay, he defined economic as a social science, to study the aspect of what human behavior as a relationship between ends and scarce means which have an alternative use. Do you understand what I'm saying now? So if you are defining your economics, there are some keywords you have to take note of. Do you understand? So the first thing is the social science. Do you understand? So if I'm asking, is economic a science? Some people will tell you economic is a science. Some will tell you economic is an art. So in schools, most schools in Nigeria, yeah, if you study economics in most schools in Nigeria, they will give you Bachelor of Science. Are you following? So there are some schools that will give you Bachelor of Arts. Do you get what I'm saying now? Depending on the country, depending on school. Are you following what I'm saying? So, but to me, economic is a science. And what aspect of science is a social science? Are you following? Is a social science. That's the first, if they ask you to define economics in your exam, your definition must capture the word social science. Are you following what I'm saying? Then it must also capture human behavior, because it's a social science that study what aspects of human. It study the aspect of human that has to do with what? The behavioral aspect. Let me put it that way. It study the behavioral aspect of human being. That's the second thing your definition must also capture. And the third one is ends. ENDX. So it must also capture ends. So when I say ends, what do I mean? I mean, ends is talking about wants. Do you get what I'm saying now? Ends is talking about wants. Are you following what I'm saying? And human wants are unlimited. Are you following? So that's one of the problems we all have generally, no matter who you are, whether you are rich, whether you are middle class, whether you fall between the richer or the middle class or the lower class. Do you understand? So our wants are unlimited. Should I explain why it is like that? Should I explain, or you understand what I mean by that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So human wants are what? Very unlimited. So the next one, the fourth one that your definition must also capture is what we call scarce. Do you understand? So scarce means limited resources. Do you understand? When they say something is scarce, so the fact that it is scarce doesn't mean it is not available in economics. So when I'm saying resources is scarce, it does not mean that that resources is not what? Available. So basically, it is scarce because of what? Who can tell me the reason why it is scarce?
It's limited.
It's limited. Do you understand what I'm saying now? So it is scarce basically because it is limited. Do you understand now? So, and another name for the word scarce, it's also called limited resources. Do you understand? So meaning scarce means limited resources, alternative use, or drop one for another. Do you understand now? So I gave it that name when I was in school. Yeah, I said you can call scarcity as limited resources, alternative use, or drop one for another. Let's say for instance, now you want to pay school fees. You want to pay school fees, you want to go to party, you want to eat, you want to buy iPhone, you want to buy the latest car. Do you understand what I'm saying? And you also want to write your CITN exam. So you have a lot of things you feel like doing at the same time, but you have a very limited resources that can cover up for everything. So what are you going to do? So that means you have to do one and leave. So since you know that the resources you have at hand cannot cover up for everything at the same time. So all you just need to do is to do one and drop another. Do you understand? So you get what I'm saying now? So then the last thing, keyword, your definition must capture is what we call the alternative use. Are you getting me? This is what we call alternative use. And the reason for that alternative use is because we said economic is also a science that, teaches us how to do best with what we have. Do you understand? So it teaches us, it brings us into the idea of how to achieve the best out of the limited, resources we have. Do you understand? So then we have a question here. Why do you study economics? Why do you study economics in CITN? You study economics because economics is important, basically because it provides us a way of thinking. Do you understand? That's the first thing. So it provides us the way of what? Thinking. So then it also helps us in order, or let me say it helps society. It helps society on how to make use of scarce resources in order to satisfy human wants. So those are the things you must take note of. Then we have relevance of economics. Let me quickly explain that. Relevance of economics as a field of study, number one thing is that we must understand is that it helps us to make choice. So economics help us to, sorry for that sound, sorry. So economics help us to make what? Choices. That's number one. Are you following? It provides
Yeah.
appropriate way of thinking. Economics also provides appropriate way of thinking. Number three is study how individual and society choose to use the scarce resources that nature and previous generation has bestowed upon them. Then the fourth one is also helps in taking the best decision among, different or various decisions. So from scarcity, it says scarcity lies as a root of all economic activities. So the concept of scarcity finds an expression in two basic facts of economic life. So the first one is unlimited wants or ends. Then the second one is what? Scarce resources or mix. For the unlimited wants or end, every person has some wants. So different person have generally different wants and want of even same person keep changing with the passage of life or passage of time, changes of place and status. Do you understand now? So as you begin to move from one level to another, your perspective about life will begin to take a new dimension. Then we also have scarce resources or means. So satisfaction of want requires resources. So for you to be satisfied, you need resources. Do you understand? So however, scarce means have alternative uses. So in this case, the resources therefore need to be allocated among different uses in a systematic, coordinated manner. So meaning every individual and economy has to devise a mechanism for this. Do you get what I'm saying now? Like my professor, we always say, said, for you to survive, you must be able to devise a mechanism. There should be a mechanism. So for you to survive in this kind of economy we find ourselves, most especially in Nigeria. So there must be a mechanism. So you must be able to devise a mechanism that will help you in surviving this economic situation we find ourselves. So the next thing is, now we want to talk about the scope of economies. We have two different types of, the two different scopes of economies. The two major division, we can also call it the major division of economies. The first one is what we call the microeconomies. Then the second one is what we call the macroeconomies. So when we say microeconomies, what does that mean? It deals with the economic decision of individual. That's the first thing. Firstly, before I go on, I would like to explain the different types of economic agents we have. Number one, we have the individual. You can write that down. The number two is what? The individual. You can say individual, consumer, or household. Are you writing it down? Individual,
Yeah.
consumer, or household. I'm talking about the three economic agents now. Is it that? Number one, individual, or household, or consumer, right? Number two, firm. Firm, FIRM. Number three, government. So these are the three economic agents we have. We have the individual, we have the firm, then we have the what? Government. Do you understand? So for the microeconomics, it deals with the economic decision of individual household and firms, such as firms' choices of what to produce and how to produce, or let me say how to charge, and also choices of what and how to buy. Do you understand now? So firms under microeconomics, they are faced with the problem of what to produce. Are you following what I'm saying now? Firm in under microeconomics, are you following? They are faced with the problem of how to produce, and not only that, how to charge the household. Let's take for instance now, if you're a producer, or let me say you're an entrepreneur, one of the things you begin to think about is, okay, what are the things that are needed in this environment? What are the things I can do and all of that? Then, having discovered that, you go through rigorous stage, which is production stages. Then after production, you begin to think, okay, based on people that are living in this community, how much can I charge them? Are you following what I'm saying now? How much can I charge them that we help them and also help me to sell? Do you understand now? So these are the problems that producers are faced with under microeconomics. But the household microeconomics generally involve basically, or let me say basically involves the firms and the household. Are you following? So most time when you see governments coming into microeconomics concept, they are only coming there to charge tax. Different types of tax governments can charge. Do you understand? So they are only coming just because they want to collect tax. Do you get what I'm saying now? But when we talk about microeconomics, it involves the government. Do you understand? It involves the government decision as regard inflation, the monetary policy. We have two types of policy that runs the affairs of microeconomics policy, which is the fiscal policy and the monetary policy. When we say the fiscal policy, this is the involvement of government trying to control and regulate the economy. So when we talk about the monetary policy, this is the involvement of the central banks of nations in order to control and regulate the economy. Do you understand? So, but under microeconomics, households are faced with, what and how much to buy. So please take note of that. I said firms are faced with what to produce and how much to charge. Why households are faced with what and how much to buy. Do you understand? So after deciding, oh, what do I have to buy? Okay, I need this, I need that, I need this. Okay, I need to get this, I need to get that, I need to pay for this. Okay, this thing is not good again, I need to change it and all of that. So after deciding on what to buy, so how much do you want to buy it? In terms of quantity, in terms of prices. Do you understand? So that's one of the major reasons why price will always remain one of the major factors in microeconomics. Do you understand that? So in fact, it explains the concept of prices in terms of economic decision of both individual and what the household. So it can be the individual. Individual is also means household. Yeah, do you understand? When I'm saying household, I also means the individual. Then firms. I said there are two parties to, two agents to economy, which is the individual, the firm, and the what? And the government. Then we have the microeconomics. It's look at the economy as the whole, instead of trying to understand what determines the output of a single firm or industry or consumption pattern of a single household or the group of what household. So these are the basic things you have to understand under both of them. So one looks at economy as a whole. Look at the economy as a whole, like, okay, fine now. If you want to explain what a country or an economy is facing now, you can start bringing in the first thing. You have to look at it from the perspective as a whole, the general perspective. Do you get what I'm saying now? Then there are some points you must focus. point focus of the two major division of microeconomics. I want to give you this because of the exam. So there are two major things you have to understand when it comes to explaining the difference between the microeconomics and the macroeconomics. So we have the macroeconomics examine the factor that determines national outputs or national products. Are you there? The national outputs or the national products. Why microeconomics is concerned with household income. Are you following? So one is concerned with the factors that determines national outputs or national income or products. So why the other is concerned with, is concerned with the household income. Are you following? Then the second point is that microeconomics deals with the national income. Macroeconomics deals with the national income. Why? Microeconomics deals with the economic decision of individual, household, and firm. Do you get it now? Do you get it?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, let's go to the economics method. Are you following? The method of analyzing economies. So we have the method of analyzing economies. There are two basic approaches to economic analysis. There are two basic approaches we call them methods in explaining or in analyzing economies. So the first one is positive economies. Then the second one is what? Normative. So we have the positive, then we have the what? The normative. Are you following? We have the positive economy, then we also have the what? Are we there? Are we there?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So for the positive economies, are you following? So
What you are saying.
okay, the positive economy attempts to understand the behavior and the operation of economic system. What the positive economists try to do is that they attempt to understand the behavior and the operation of economic system with making judgments about whether the outcome are good or bad. Do you understand what I'm saying now? So what they just try to do is that they make attempts to understand the behavior and the operation of economic system with making a strict judgment as touching whether an outcome is good or bad. So let's go to the normative. So for the normative economics, it deals with what ought to be. What is ought to be? You understand? So the difference between them is that positive economics deals with what it is, while normative economics deals with what ought to be. Do you understand, Yoruba? When we say positive, what is? If I say what is, what does that mean in Yoruba? Kilele. Do you understand now? Are you following? Kini. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm just trying to bring in, to explain it in Yoruba so you can understand. So positive economics always ask a question, Kini. So why normative economy we ask this question, Kilo ye ko shele? Are you following what I'm saying now? So the positive economics deals with what is, while normative deals with what ought to be. Do you understand? So the definition of normative economy is that it looks at
I didn't get that. Sorry, I didn't get the part of positive economy and normative economy. Which one is what ought to be? Which one?
Okay, positive is what is.
Okay.
What is, yeah. Why
Okay.
normative is what ought to be.
Okay, thank you.
What ought to be. You are welcome. So the normative economics looks at the outcome of economics behavior and asks whether they are appropriate or not. Do you understand? So don't forget, I said that the positive economics attempts to understand the behavior and the operation of the economic system with making a strict judgment about whether the outcome are good or bad. Are you following? Just like I will say, okay, fine. Okay, the water in that, or let me say, okay, that material is good. That material is bad. You understand? So when we say positive, they are very exact. They are smart when it comes to making judgments. Do you understand? So why the normative? They look at the outcome of the economic behavior and begin to ask whether they are appropriate or not. Do you get what I'm saying now? They'll be like, oh, why is this thing like this? Is it good like this? Is it bad? Okay, why are you putting this thing here? Why can't you do it like this? Why can't you do it like this? Do you understand? So they don't condemn straight up. So they can start, trying to condemn a particular stuff by asking questions. If I thought they will end up condemning, they will still want to see people's perspective about it. But the positive economists, what they do is that, okay, this thing is not good and this thing is good. But the normative, they will even, do you get what I'm saying? They won't just tell you it is good, it is bad. They will tell you, okay, why is it like this? Why are you putting this thing in the bottle? Why can't you put it here? Okay, what do you think about it? Is it good like this? Is it bad like this? Do you understand what I'm saying? So they try to ask question. Are you following? And whether they could be made better. So not only that they will ask questions, they will also ask those questions in order to see if those results can be made better. Do you understand? So the normative economics involve the judgment and prescription of actions. Normative economics involves the what? The judgment and prescriptions of action. Why the positive economics tends to describe what exists and how it works. Can you see the difference? So one deals with what exists and how it works, while the other, try to involves the judgment and prescription of what? Action. You understand what I'm saying? So another thing you should understand is that normative tends to give judgment to question, and this is why it is often called the policy economies. I don't know if you are familiar with, what is going on in Nigeria. A lot of people have suggested a lot of policy in order to improve our economy. Okay, why this policy? Why not this policy? Why this and all of that? Do you understand? So that's why they call it policy. In fact, normative is good when it comes to making policies. Do you understand? Why, positive economy is good when it comes to what? Making strict judgment, because it deals with what is or what exists. Do you understand? So, and in that, it also captures the idea of economic history. Okay, what has been in the past? Okay, what is going on? Okay, from some of the history, some of the past events. So what can we deduct? Okay, is it good? Is it bad? Do you get what I'm saying now? So why the normative? It tries to deal with what it ought to be. Okay, I will consider all this history as, or some of the things that happened in the past. What are the possible things we can do? What do we expect? Okay, what should we be expecting? Do you get the difference between the two now? I mean, the difference between the two methods of economic analysis. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay, good. So let me quickly explain the basic concept of, economies. We have different basic concepts of the economies. The first one is, we have about 5 of them, if I'm right. Yeah. The first one is wants, the basic concept of economy. The first one is wants. The second one is scarcity. The third one is choice. The fourth one is scale of preference. Then the fifth one is opportunity cost. Do you want me to come again? Do you want me to come again? Do you want me to come again?
I think I got all. I don't know about the other person, but
Okay. Okay, Ma, do you want me to come again?
No, you're good.
Okay, what did you say, Ma?
I'm fine. I'm okay.
Okay, you're okay, right? Okay, thank you. So I said, okay, we have about 5 basic concepts: the scarcity, the choice, the scale of preference, and the opportunity cost. So the first one is once. Sorry, I didn't mention once. Want, scarcity, choice, scale of preference, and opportunity cost. So the first one is want. So what is want? Is defined as a mere desire. It's just like a mere desire. Do you understand? It is known as ineffective demand. You know, in demand, I want to believe that you know what demand is, right? Eh? Don't worry, my slide will begin to move very soon. Don't worry, man. So you know what demand is, right? Demand is just like the willingness and the ability that a consumer have to demand for a particular product given a particular what price in a at a point in time. So that is the definition of demand. Then under demand, we have 2 classifications. We have it effective and we have the word ineffective. Are you following? We have the effective demand, then we have the word ineffective demand. So if I'm saying effective demand, what do I mean by effective demand? The difference between effective demand, let me just explain it straight up. The difference between effective demand and ineffective demand is that effective demand is a concept that is explained, is a concept that is explained under need. Why ineffective demand is a concept that can be explained under wants. Do you understand what I'm saying now? What did I say? Who can help me?
She said, can you hear me?
Yeah, of course.
Said effective demand is the one that is backed up or addressed under need. While
Okay.
ineffective one that is backed up, is one.
Okay, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. So when we say wants, just like the definition I give, I say want is just like a mere desire. I want to buy bag, Gucci bag. I want to buy, shoe. I want Lamborghini. I want to build a house in Aja. Oh, I want to live in Lekki. I want to travel to UK. Okay, I want to do this. I want to do that. You understand now? So everything are just wants. They are ineffective. In as much as you don't have money to put those things in places, it is just a mere desire. Do you get my definition? So far, you don't have the money to put them in actualization. I mean, to put them to achieve all of those things, like going to Aja, building house in Lekki, going to UK, driving Lamborghini, having 4-bedroom flats, mansion and all of that. So they are ineffective in as much as there's no resources to what? To achieve them. Do you get it now? So that's the reason why they call it ineffective. Because they are just something you just want, you are just dreaming of. So in as much as there's no money to get all of those things, it will become forever mere desire until maybe one day your wish just come true. Do you get what I'm saying? So, but when we say need, need, need are things, need are things you want. Things you want, they are not just things you want, they are effective demand. They are effective, demand or effective things you have the money, you have the ability, to get. Let's say, for instance, okay, fine, I want to change my phone and you have the money already, so it becomes effective. I want to buy this, I want to pay for my CITN exam, you have the money and you pay for it, it becomes what? Effective. Do you understand? So the difference between both of them is because the difference between both want and need is that one is a mere desire, while the other is what? Effective demand. Do you understand? It is effective in as much as you have the what? You have the, the money to actualize it. So it becomes what? Need. Do you understand what I'm saying now? So Another name for want is ineffective. They can ask you, and at individual firm governments also engage in wishful thinking. It's not only you or individual that engage themselves in wishful thinking. So firms also do that a lot. You see some people, okay, I've just prayed there should be more capital so I can expand my business. I can do this, I can do that. So in as much as the capital or the money is not available, it becomes a what? A wishful thinking. Do you understand? Even government also, okay, fine. God, just do it. I pray there should be more resources or, revenue so that we can build, a good road, a toll and all of that, in as much as there's no money or capital or funds to make those things become reality, So it becomes a what? And ineffective demand. So the second basic concept is what we call scarcity. So it is the most important concept in economics. In fact, scarcity happens to be the most important concept in economics because it is limited resources. And another name for scarcity, okay, yeah, there's something we call scarcity principle. Do you understand? Which is called no free lunch. There's something we call scarcity principle. They can ask you. So it is no free lunch. It's a principle. You get it now? And we can say no free lunch is another name for scarcity principle. When I mean no free lunch, what do I mean by no free lunch? For instance, you went to a very wonderful and amazing party and somebody served you rice and you are eating, you are enjoying the rice. Does that make that rice free? Does that make it free? The fact that you went to a party and you took a very delicious jollof rice, does that make it free? You're not responding. Huh?
Yes and no.
Yes and no. Okay, I love that. Can you explain?
Yes and I'm saying no because you spent as in you didn't come from, you left your house to that place, so you spend time, resources, so that doesn't make it free. Yes, because you didn't beg for it, they gave it to you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. I really appreciate. So, but let me give you my own idea. Would you love to hear what I feel about it?
Yes.
Okay, let me just give you my own idea. I love that. That's a good attempt. Thank you very much. So when I mean no free lunch, what does that mean? So forget the fact that you you took a flight to the place, whether you took a flight there or not, or you trek, or maybe you took a power bike or a cab or something. So what I mean by no free lunch, the fact that you go to a party and you are served jollof rice doesn't make that jollof rice free. It is not free because somebody has already incurred the cost of that jollof rice. Do you understand? Somebody paid for it. And who paid for it? The party owner. Though you are coming to eat it for free, but the cost of the jollof rice, the meat, the Fanta you are served, and everything you are served in that party has been incurred by the owner of the party.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
Okay, do you get it now? So it doesn't mean it is free. The fact that you took the jollof rice, wonderful, amazing drink and all of that. So the cost has been incurred by someone. So it may not be you. Do you get what I'm saying now? So that's what they mean by, that's what it means when I say no free lunch. So there's no free lunch in economics. Is a principle, and is a principle of scarcity. You get what I'm saying? Even if you are taking something for free, maybe you just get to a place and you are served a drink, or you just get to a particular place. Maybe for instance, now today I went to church and I discovered that the atmosphere has changed. They've changed the rug, they brought another lightning, the place become more cooler, like they got more ACs and all of that. And I was like, wow, so see church, everywhere is just cool. In fact, the atmosphere was amazing and wonderful. So does that make all of those things free? Yeah?
No.
No, because somebody, whether the pastor, I don't know, maybe whether the church offering was used to get all of those things, or somebody gave them the money to buy it I don't know about it. Do you understand now? So the fact that I enjoyed all of those things, the drum set, how the drum set, the keyboardists and all of that, the sounds, doesn't make them free. So the cost has already been incurred by another party or another economic agent. Do you get what scarcity means now? So if they ask you in the exam, you should be able to explain, right?
With that example,
Ma,
so with the same example,
what did you say?
the same example.
Okay, thank you, Ma. So then the next one is choice. Choice is an act of selection among various alternatives. When I say choice, it's just like an act of selection among various alternatives, and it necessitates the fact that, it necessitates by the fact that the world at large suffer from the problem of, or problem created by scarcity. Do you know why people make choice? The reason why people make choices basically because the resources is limited. Basically, let me just put it in a simple way. People make choice because of scarcity. Are you following what I'm saying now? So can you see how those things are being explained from wants to scarcity now to choice? Do you understand? So why are people making choice? Why do I have to make choice when I know I can buy everything? I have resources that can buy everything I want once. Are you following what I'm saying now? Why do I have to make choice when I can buy everything I desire once and for all? Do you understand? So everybody is faced with the problem of scarcity. So that's why you see people making choices in every day, every now and then. Do you understand what I'm saying now? Do you get it?
Yes.
So the next one is what we call the scale of preference. Who can tell me what scale of preference is?
I think it's a list. When you list, okay, this one is, I want this one. I can afford this one. So the one I can afford most and I have money to buy, I go for it first. That's in
Okay.
a layman terms.
Okay, who else wants to help? Scale of preference. Can mommy also, ma'am, can you, I think we are about 3 here. Apart from me, we have other 2 people. So can any one of us explain? Okay, okay. I want to hear your definition, ma.
I think it's a kind of table or institution where you prioritize your needs according to uh, the the particular way you really want to use them. That's the only way I can just explain it.
All right, thank you very much. I really appreciate your contribution, both of you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So when we say scale of preference, let me just give you my own, what I feel about it here. So a scale of preference refers to a list of unsatisfied wants. Is a list of, you understand what I mean by unsatisfied wants? Wants, or let me say, in that case, I can use the word ineffective demand. Do you understand? So it's a list of unsatisfied wants arranged in order of priority. Do you understand? In order of priority or in order of importance. So let's imagine a student who needs a lot of things, or who wants a lot of things: school bags, school fees, food stuff, handouts, and the students also want to pay for CITN. Do you understand? He has a lot of things he feels like doing at once. So in order for him to make the best decision, so he has to list them. Okay, which one do I need first? I think I need to pay for CITN first. I need to attend a class. Okay, it follows. Okay, I need to pay for my institution fee. Okay, I need to do this. So the way you begin to arrange them in the order of what's priority, how important they are. That's what I mean, the order of priority. Do you understand? So you arrange them in the order of their importance. Do you get what I'm saying now? So that's just the definition of what scale of preference. So it's just like a table, some people will call it serial number, the items, then the price. Do you get what I'm saying now? serial number, items, and the price. So if I want to create a scale of preference for myself now, serial number, serial number, items, and what price, I can say things needed or things I want. Then the next one should be the price. Okay, firstly, I want to buy, bag. Secondly, I want to buy this. I want to buy that. So I have to list them in the order of my what priority. Do you understand now? And the reason for that is because it aids, decision making. So scale of preference aids the decision making, and not only that, is the most pressing need are what rank first. So in scale of preference, the most pressing need, those things you need urgently, are ranked first, followed by the what, the less pressing ones. So do you get it now?
Yes.
So let's go to the next one. Let's go to the next one. Are we there? Are we there? Okay.
Yes.
The next one is what we call the opportunity cost. So opportunity cost refers to, what you have to give up to buy what you want in terms of other goods or services. Do you understand? So opportunity cost refers to what you have to give up to what you want in terms of other goods. Do you understand? So let's say, for instance, now you are faced with two things. You want to pay for CITN exams, then also you want to go for a party. Maybe there's this amazing party. Why am I using party? I'm not the party freak, don't mind me. So you want to go for party, then you want to pay for a CITN exam. So you have two things. So you begin to think, okay, should I pay for CITN? Or should I go for that party? Which one? And maybe you end up paying for CITN exam. Do you understand what I'm saying now? You end up paying for CITN. So the opportunity cost for paying for CITN exam is what?
The alternative.
Eh?
Is the alternative you forgot?
Is the party. Thank you. So the opportunity cost for paying for CIT exam is the party. So meaning if you are not paying for the CITN exam, you can also pay for what? The party. So do you understand? So if you decide that you want to pay for the party, so the opportunity cost for paying for the party is what? Is the CITN exam. So another example, you are here attending class, while some, maybe they are sleeping, I don't know. So the opportunity cost of attending this online class is that you can also be on your bed. Imagine the weather is cold. You can also be on your bed and be sleeping. So the opportunity cost of attending this class is that you can also be on your bed and be sleeping. Do you understand? So opportunity cost is just like what you've forgone in order to achieve something else. Do you understand what I'm saying now? So what you left in order to achieve something else. So that's what opportunity cost is. Do you get it?
Yes.
So
Yes.
then, okay, thank you. Then we move on to the economic system. So we move on to economic system. So system is just like a way of constructing something. So when we say system is like a way of constructing something. Then under this, we have economic system. We have three types of economic system. So, but before then, for you to understand the economic system very well, you have to understand what production is. So production implies, though we are still going to talk more on production, but for now, let me just give you this simple example. Production implies the transformation of various inputs into outputs, thereby increasing the wants, satisfying capacity of the inputs. Are you following what I'm saying?
Yes, please.
Are you following what I'm saying? So let me put it that way, full stop. I'm coming back to that. So under the economic system, we have three types of economic system. We have the capitalist, are you there? Or free enterprise. The capitalist or free enterprise. So they can also call them capitalist or the free enterprise. Then the second one is what we call the socialist. So the socialists, they are also called command, and they are also called centralized planned. Then the third one is mixed economy. So these are the three types of economic system we have. We have the what? The capitalist, the socialist, and the what? The mixed economy. Do you understand? Hmm?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, can we continue? So when we
Yes.
say capitalists, who are the capitalists? So it is the first. Okay, who are the capitalists? Let me ask you first. Okay, let me just explain. So in capitalist is an, is a type of economic system where what to produce, how to produce, whom to produce is dictated by the private. Do you understand what I'm saying now? Capitalist is, when we say capitalist is just like, let me explain it from the perspective of individual. You own your business now. Maybe you are selling stuff or you are producing some certain goods. You are the owner of the business. So that makes that business to be a capitalist business or a capitalist system, whereby what to produce, how to produce, and whom to produce is dictated by you. Do you understand? Then the choice making there, it's always on the individual. And not only that, another thing you should understand under capitalism is that it is the forces of demand and supply that allocate the what? Resources here. Do you get what I'm saying now? So such that, I don't know, maybe if I can, okay, let me use whiteboard. So if I'm using whiteboard, I would have to take this away. Are you following? So you can draw. So can you see what I'm saying now? So
Yes.
at this point here, this is how the capitalist looks like. Don't mind my drawing, Here we have supply. Then here we have supply here. Supply is downwards, upward sloping. Sorry, why demand is what? Is downward sloping. Do you understand? So the reason why demand is downward sloping can be explained by the theory of demand that says that the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded, then ceteris paribus. Do you understand now? So, yeah, okay, the higher the price, the lower the quantity demanded. Let me just say it's finished. Then the lower the price, the higher the what? The quantity demanded. Then the reason for the upward sloping in supply curve is as a result of the theory, the law of supply that states that when the prices of a commodity rises, the quantity supply will also rise. So when the price of a commodity falls, the quantity supply will also fall. So which tells us that there's a positive relationship between the supply and the quantity supply and what? And price. And for demand, there's a negative relationship between the demand and the what? The price, the quantity demand and what? And price. Are you following? So at this point here, we have what we call the price mechanism. You can write it P. So PM is called the price what? Mechanism. Do you understand? So for this to be productive, for this market to be productive, resources must be fully utilized by what? By individual. Or let me say productive resources are owned by the what? By individual. Do you understand? And market resources normally goes through the price mechanism. Don't worry, I will explain more about price mechanism when we get to demand. So, and it has its own advantage. It creates innovation. Then one of the most important thing you should know is the aspect of the disadvantages of what? Capitalist is because the capitalist is that capitalist brings about what? Exploitation. Do you understand now? So if government of a state is not careful, they can exploit people. And that's one of the things that is affecting Nigeria now. So they will exploit you, they will exploit you. If the cost of production is 5 naira and they tell you that they want to sell that product for 500 naira, you will buy. Do you get what I'm saying? You will buy. It is when they tell you this is the cost of producing, you will buy. So that's one of the what? Disadvantages of what? And the reason for that is because in capitalist system, they are more of profit oriented. So I want to make my profit. I don't care, how much I'm selling. I just want to make profits. Do you get what I'm saying now? So they don't care. So for them to make profits, they have to do things to favor them, especially when it comes to the price bargain. Do you get? Then we have the other one, which is the socialist. So socialist is an economy system or market economy system, which what to produce, how to produce, and whom to produce is organized or dictated by the government. So in this case, productive resources are owned by the what? By the government. So government are the one deciding. Do you understand? So no choice here. There's no choice. So government decide everything in socialist. It is government that dictates everything, whether it pays you, whether it does not pay you. So government are the one in control. Then the third one is the mixed economy. So what is mixed economy? So mixed economy is combined with the futures of both capitalist and the what and the socialist economic system. And in Nigeria today, that is what we practice. You understand? And I think in most countries, so they practice mixed economy system whereby, it has both the futures of the capitalist and the what? The socialist. Do you understand? Then let me quickly explain that price mechanism. Price mechanism are owned both by the private. I mean, I'm just going to explain it in relative to economic system. So it is owned by both the private and government, whereby what to produce, how to produce, and whom to produce are both decided by what? By market and government under mixed economy. Do you understand? But for the sake of market price mechanism under capitalist, it is owned by who? By private. Do you understand? So whereby what to produce, how to produce, whom to produce are decided, even the price is decided by who? By the individual. So in socialist, government decide the price mechanism. In mixed economy, government and what? And markets, they decide. In fact, mostly in mixed economies, the forces, the demand and supply, the equilibrium, the demand and supplies are the most determinants. So what are people demanding and what are we supplying? So if in a case whereby if the demands are the people that are the demanders, let me use the word demanders, are more than the supplies, what do you think is going to happen? Price will rise. So if in a case whereby people that are pursuing a particular commodity are much more than the available goods, what do you think? So they will increase the price. So the reason why they are increasing the price is basically because they want to chase some people, they want to send some people so that when they increase price, and a lot of people will lose interest in buying as a result of what? Increase in the price of that commodity. Are you following what I'm saying? So then,
Yes.
thank you. We also have decision makings as regarding the economic system. There are pitfalls. There are something we call pitfall. And what are the pitfall? We call them shortcomings, errors, mistakes in making decisions. So the number one is pitfall of measuring cost and benefit proportion. Let me give you this wonderful illustration. I remember, I remember this wonderful illustration. For instance, you want to buy a laptop and there is a store in your area that sells it at 150,000 naira. Are you following what I'm saying now? I said there are pitfall, and the first pitfall is pitfall of measuring cost, benefits, proportion. Are you following? You want to buy a laptop and there's someone that sells it in your area for 150,000 naira. And someone now told you, are you following what I'm saying? That you can buy it at the rate of 140,000 naira. So where are you going to buy it? The same laptop. The same laptop, are you following?
Yes. Second place.
Okay, the same laptop. Okay, let me give you a wonderful scenario. You want to buy a laptop in Ibadan, yeah. You want a laptop and you got to know that in Ibadan it is sold for 150. And in Lagos, they are selling it for 140. Where will you prefer to buy it? Considering the cost and benefits.
Ibadan.
Ibadan. Ibadan.
Why? Why? Do you stay in Ibadan?
No.
Okay, where do you stay?
You said considering I'm staying in Ibadan, so I assume I'm living in
Okay,
Ibadan.
yeah, that's what I want to find out. So considering the fact that if you are staying in Ibadan, you prefer to buy it in Ibadan, right? Because considering the cost of transporting yourself from Ibadan to Lagos, so the difference there is just 10,000 naira, which you might end up spending more than 10,000 if you are to go and buy it in Lagos. Do you get what I'm saying now? So in that case, you would prefer to buy it in Ibadan. But let's now say, for instance, now you stay in Lagos. Where do you stay in Lagos? I just want to make a good example. Just tell me where you stay. Maybe bus stop or a city in Lagos. Where do you stay? Hello?
Maryland.
Okay. Maryland. Okay. Imagine someone that stays in Maryland, or let me use Beggar and Mowe. So a laptop is being sold. Do you know Beggar and Mowe? Yeah, Beggar and Mowe. Maybe a laptop is being sold for 140 in Beggar, and you stay in Beggar, and in Mowe is being sold for about 150. Oh, sorry, 140 in Beggar, and in Mowe is being sold for 130. Where will you prefer to buy it? You rather go to Mowe and go and buy it. And why? Because the cost of transporting yourself from Beggar to Mowe is not really much. In fact, you might end up spending about 1,000 to transport yourself from Beggar to Mowe. Do you get what I'm saying now? So that's one of the pitfalls, the errors we have when it comes to what decision making. Do you understand? So, you know, for a rational person, you always want to prefer to buy it in a place where, you know, one of the things, let me say this, one of the things economists seek to explain is two things. Producer wants to maximize profits, while demanders, they want to maximize satisfactions. Do you understand? And the best way a producer can maximize their profit is in a case whereby in the quantity they sell, you know, more quantities. Are you following? So there are various concepts. I don't really want to go in depth now. We might still come back later, maybe later when we start explaining demand and supply. But for a demander wants a situation whereby you want to spend less and still derive maximum satisfaction. You want to spend less and yet you are still satisfied. But a producer, they want a situation whereby they want their profit, they want to maximize profits such that they will maximize profits and they will minimize their cost. So they want to minimize the cost of production and maximize, that's what they seek to do. They seek to minimize, you know, the cost of production and maximize their what? Their revenue. But demander, they want to maximize utility, but we minimize the cost of buying, the cost of purchasing, or the purchasing power. Do you get what I'm saying now? Do you get what I'm saying now? So as an economist, that means you should look for an absolute, not proportion. Are you following? So if there's a particular place whereby you can get that same system with same quality, not that the quality, the 140 or 150 quality one is much more than the 140 quality. Do you understand? If both systems that are about to be sold for 150, 140 has the same quality, the same content. Are you following what I'm saying now? So that means you have to buy it in a place where it's being sold for what? For 140. Why? Because as an economist, you should look for absolute, not proportion. Do you get what I'm saying now? So to beat pitfall based on proportion, but not absolute. Do you get what I'm saying now? So to base pitfall on proportion, but what? Absolute. So you should not look at the what? You should look for the absolute, not the what? Not the proportion. Do you understand? Then we also have another one, or before that, let me explain the cost benefit of the example I gave earlier. So the cost benefit principle, it means anytime you want to take any action, we should embark, before you embark on any action, so you should check the benefits. So if the benefit is greater than the cost, so you can embark on such action. But if the cost, individual tends to look at the benefits. So if the benefit of the action you're about to take is much more than the cost, you should embark on such action. But if the cost is much more than the benefit, you should what? You should fall back. So there's another pitfall here, which is the pitfall of ignoring opportunity cost. So the pitfall of ignoring opportunity cost here talks about the satisfaction of one X to another. Do you understand that? So here in this case, the pitfall of ignoring some cost, there's another one, the pitfall of ignoring some cost. So what is some cost? Let me explain what some cost is. When we say some cost is irrecoverable costs. Are we enjoying the class? Am I too fast?
Yes, I'm enjoying, but I think I was lost. But I will catch back a bit.
Okay, where do you want me? Sometimes I feel I'm too fast. Maybe because I'm a fast talker. So so where do you want me to explain again? Or
No, you continue.
Okay,
Continue.
thank you.
Yes.
So when we say, okay, let me explain the concept of some cost. When I mean some cost, I've mentioned about 3 pitfalls now. The third pitfall, I said the pitfall of ignoring some cost. And what is some, S-U-M, some costs? Some costs are irrecoverable costs. A very good example I'm going to give you now is, I gave you an admission. Oh, sorry, what school? Maybe a federal school in Nigeria. Yeah, let me say UI. Yeah, UI give you an admission. You've already paid for acceptance fee. In fact, you've paid for school fees. So while trying to prepare for when UI is going to resume, you discover that maybe a very school in the best school in US give you an admission. I think the best school in US now is who can remind me, what's the name of this school in US? So, that people love to go, Advert, am I right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Advert.
So, yeah, Advert. Thank you. Advert now give you admission. Maybe you discover I give you admission, you've already paid for the acceptance fee, you've paid for school fees. So weeks after when you've paid for the acceptance and school fees, you now discover that Advert gave you an admission. So which one are you going to? And you now decide to go to Advert to go and study. Well, Advert is better than you. Let me just go and study at Advert University. So that money you paid into UI account, you cannot collect it back again. Or can you collect it?
No.
They can't give you back again. So that cost you spent on paying for acceptance fee and school fees is what we call some costs. If you opt in for Advert, so that means you can never regain or recover that cost again as far as you want to consider going to Advert University. Do you get what I'm saying now? So some costs are irrecoverable costs. Do you get the illustration? I gave you admission, you've paid for school fees, everything, and few weeks or few days after, you discover that Advert also gave you a scholarship exam, and you decide to go to Advert to go and study at Advert because everybody wants to go to Advert school. So the money you've already paid to UI cannot be recovered again. And as a result of that, it becomes a sum cost. Do you understand now? Do you get it?
Yes.
Okay, so then we have the pitfall of average cost or marginal cost. Do you understand? So I don't know, you just try to remind me. So under cost concept, I'm going to explain this better. Other cost concept, I don't want to be too forward in the teaching so you can understand everything. Please remind me the pitfall of when we get to cost concept. So try to remind me that I said I'm going to explain the pitfall of average cost or marginal cost. Do you understand? So when you say marginal, margin in economics, marginal means what? Changes. Are you following what I'm saying now? So from the perspective of, the cost concept, we have what we call the total cost, we have the MC, which is the marginal cost, then we have the what? The average cost. When you say average cost is your total cost over the output. Your marginal cost is the changes in total cost, which is changes in TC over changes in Q. While your total cost is your total fixed cost plus your total variable cost. So when we get to the cost concept, I promise I'm going to explain better about the pitfall of average cost and what? And the marginal cost. Do you understand? Any question? So before we go to the next one, any question?
None for now.
Okay. So let me now explain. Are we there? Are we there?
Yes, please.
Okay, let me explain the next one now. So let me quickly explain what we call, though it's not part of your, but I think they might ask the, the economic of exchange. So under the economic of exchange, we have what we call the theory of absolutes. Then we have the comparative advantages. So economic of exchange, we use it more in international economics. Do you understand now? So we have to, it's just about, finance and trade. So how finance and trade are what? The better way you can understand finance and trade is through the economic of exchange. The first one is called the theory of absolute. Then the second one is the comparative advantage. You understand now? Don't forget, I said economic also deals with the what? It's also the social science of choice, of making choices regarding what? Exchange. Do you understand now? Then yeah, let me explain absolute advantage first. So for the case of absolute advantage, they are economics principle that governs a person, firms, or country. Do you understand? And it is said to have an absolute advantage over one another individual person or firm if they take fewer resources to perform a given task. Do you understand? So when we say absolute advantage, they are just like economic principle that governs, a country, person, firm, and etc. Do you get what I'm saying now? But let me explain the Adam Smith's, and in fact, in absolute advantage, the general principle that is accepted in one given by Adam Smith, because Adam Smith believed that a person, a firm or country is said to have an absolute advantage over another person if they take fewer resources to produce a given tax. Do you understand? So let's consider two things now. Let's say, sorry, let me go to the next page. I want to explain better. Okay. Okay, sorry. So let's take for instance now we have Nigeria. Are you following? Then we have America, or let me say US. Do you get it? Nigeria and US. Are you following what I'm saying now?
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
and under both of them, let's say we have, okay, let me do it in a better way. I'm coming so we understand better. Can you see my? Look at it now. We have US here. Oh, why is this thing? Okay, I'm coming. Sorry. How's this? Action of cars. We have cars. Then we have crude oil. I want to explain absolute advantage. Then here we have cars and crude oil. Does Nigeria produce car?
You only assemble.
Do we produce car here in Nigeria?
We
Eh?
assemble,
Yeah.
don't we?
You
Or
do
we
now.
I don't know if you're innocent. I think we assemble.
Okay, let's explain. So when it comes to production of cars, US will spend, let's say, 5 hours in producing one car. Nigeria will spend 8 hours. So can you see, if US is spending 5 hours in production of car, Nigeria will spend how many hours in production of crude oil? Sorry, if US is spending 5 hours in production of cars, Nigeria will spend 8 hours. Then for crude oil, if US is spending, okay, let me just do it this way. I'm looking for a way. I don't want to make this thing game theory. It's already looking like game theory. So let me just say, okay, let me just do it like this. Okay. I don't want it to look like game theory. Okay, let's say this is car. Are you following? Then this is US. So if Nigeria is using 8 hours to produce one car, US, let's say US will use 5 hours. So we have crude oil also. We have crude oil. So if Nigeria is using, let's say, 2 hours for production of crude oil, so US will use 4 hours for production of crude oil. So we want to explain the absolute, based on what Adam Smith says. He said a person or a country is said to have an absolute advantage over another country if it takes fewer resources to perform a given task. Do you understand? So if US is going to produce a car, US will spend how many hours? 5 hours to produce a car. If Nigeria is going to produce a car, how many hours will Nigeria spend in producing a car? 8 hours. Are you following? So when it comes to crude oil, US is going to spend 4 hours to produce a single crude oil, while Nigeria will spend how many hours to produce crude oil? 2 hours. So what absolute advantage now tends to explain is that if you look at it now, so Adam Smith said that if it's going to take US 5 hours to produce a car, and same car US is going to spend 5 hours producing, Nigeria is going to spend how many hours? 8 hours. So meaning US is spending less resources in order to produce a car. Do you understand? So what Adam Smith now says is that since US will be spending 5 hours, which is lesser than the numbers of hours Nigeria will be spending. So let US keep producing cars. So that means in this case, US has an absolute advantage over Nigeria in production of what? Cars. Don't forget why? Because it's going to take US fewer resources in terms of time to produce a car than Nigeria. So meaning US has an absolute advantage in car production than what? Than Nigeria. So why in crude oil, Nigeria is having an absolute advantage over US. Why? Because Nigeria will spend 2 hours in producing a crude oil, unlike US that will spend 4 hours. So what Adam Smith now says is this: for there to be exchange, are you following what I'm saying? Between the two countries. So let Nigeria focus on the production of crude oil and let US focus on the production of what? Car. Are you getting what I'm saying now? So Adam Smith advised that Nigeria should focus on the production of what? Crude oil. So since Nigeria is going to spend less hours in producing crude oil, so let them be producing crude oil and let Nigeria be producing what? And let Nigeria be producing crude oil and let US be producing what? Cars. Do you get what I'm saying now?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Do you understand? So meaning Adam Smith now said in the case of Nigeria should base on crude oil and America should, based on cars. And at some point, if there is a surplus, so both of them can now exchange their what? Their surplus. So that means if US is having a surplus in production of car and Nigeria is having a surplus in production of crude oil, so both of them can now bargain. So that means US can now exchange some of their, cars in surplus with Nigeria for crude oil. Are you following what I'm saying now? So that's the concept of what Adam Smith absolute advantage. In fact, Adam Smith is the person that coined the word what? Absolute advantage. So meaning, a country is said to have an absolute advantage if that country is spending fewer resources to perform a given tax. Do you get what I'm saying now? So then the next one is what we call the comparative advantage. So for a case of comparative advantage is said to, or let me say a country is said to have a comparative advantage over another country if such country have a lower opportunity cost in performing that tax. Are you following? So a country is said to have a comparative advantage if that country have a what? A lower opportunity cost in performing that tax. So you know what opportunity cost is by now. So opportunity cost is what you've forgone in order to achieve another what? Another thing. Do you understand what I'm saying now? So in a case of comparative, this is absolute. So in a case of comparative advantage, we can say that, look at it. So we have, let's say Nigeria, then we have US. So let's say, okay, I don't want to use Nigeria and US again. Let me use the name. Do you get it? So can you give me your name? I want to use your name. Or you don't want me to use your name? So you don't want to give me your name?
Chidima.
Okay, let me use. Okay. How about okay, let me just use Chi. Sorry. Then the other person. Okay, let me use any name. I didn't hear that.
Makinde.
Okay, Makinde. Let me use M-A-K.
M-O.
M-O.
Makunde.
Okay. Okay, let's just, the purpose is to understand what comparative. Let me just leave it like that. Sorry, ma'am. Then we have two things. Both of them, there are two tasks, or let me say two skills. So we can say time to design, let's say software developer. Time for software developer, for software developing. Do you understand? Then time to okay, let me say time to analyze tax. Time to analyze tax. You know, there are people they call tax analysis. Do you understand now? So time to analyze tax, and we have what? Time to develop software. So let's say for a year we have 20 minutes. Then here we have 10 minutes. Then here we have 30 minutes. Then here we have 30 minutes. Are you following what I'm saying now? So meaning for Chi, under time for software developing, she has 20 minutes. And for time to analyze tax, she has 10 minutes. So for Mark, under time for software developing, she has 30 minutes. And under time for tax analysis, she has 30 minutes. Are you following? So all you just need to do at this point, are you following? All you just need to do at this point, are you there? So is to, the first thing you are going to do here is that you divide whatever you are having here, which is 20. You know, you are having here over what you are having here, which is 10. So when you divide 20 by 10, you have 2. Are you following? Then whatever you are having here, which is 10, divided by whatever you are having here, which is what? 20. So when you divide 10 by 20, that's about 0.5. So here we are having 30. So 30 divided by whatever you are having here, which is 30. Are you following? So we have 1 here, then 30 divided by 30, we have 1 also for comparative advantage. Do you get it now? So at Ricardo, you know, the comparative advantage follows the what? The principle of Ricardo, David Ricardo. There's someone we call David Ricardo. He's also, you know, one of the economists we have in the Asians. Do you understand? So the principle of comparative advantage follows the idea of David Ricardo, which says that it is where one has a lower opportunity cost that it should specialize on. Are you following what I'm saying now? So it is where one has a what? A lower opportunity cost that that country or that individual should what? Should socialize on or specialize on. Let's use the word specialize on. So in comparative advantage, if you look at this now, are you following what I'm saying now? So we have to focus on how to develop software. Are you following what I'm saying now? We have to focus on how to develop what? How to develop what? Software. And why is it like that? Why Mark will focus on how to what? Analyze tax. Do you get what I'm saying now? If you look at this now, am I making sense? Are we following?
Please, can you take that again?
Okay. I said for David Ricardo, you know, policy states that it is where one has a lower opportunity cost that he should specialize on. If you look at this now, are you following? This is 2. Chi is having 2 here under software development and under you know, what's it called? Tax analysis is having 0.5. The Mark is having 1 year and is having what? 1 year. Do you understand? For both. So that means Mark is having 1 year, 1 year. So for Chi, So Chi, following the David Ricardo policy, which states that one has to specialize in a place where you are having a lower opportunity cost. Do you understand? So among 2 and 0.5, which one is lower?
0.5.
Eh?
0.5 is lower.
0.5 is lower. So that means she is going to focus on what? Time analyzing tax. Are you following? Because she is going to spend a lower opportunity cost in analyzing tax. So why Makinde cannot focus on software development, which is 1? Do you get what I'm saying now? So that is, so the difference between, the comparative advantage and the absolute advantage is basically because once deals with, the absolute advantage tells us that a country or an individual should focus. Are you following what I'm saying now? A country or individual should focus on a tax where they can use fewer resources to perform. Are you following? Based on Adam Smith, it says that a person or a country should what? Should focus on a tax where they can use fewer resources to what? To perform. Why? Under comparative advantage, David Ricardo said that, are you following? That it says that it is where one has a lower opportunity cost that he should specialize. So that means she is having a lower opportunity cost in how to analyze tax. That means she is very good at analyzing tax. Not that both of them cannot analyze tax, just basically that she is going to spend a lesser time in analyzing tax than Makinde. Do you understand what I'm saying now? Do you get it? So do you understand now? Or any question?
No, I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm okay.
So, okay, thank you. So then we go to the opportunity cost. So, sorry, the PPC. The PPC. So the PPC, let me show my, I want to share my screen. Okay, someone is just joining. Ayomide, you are welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, sir. So let me share my screen. So, okay, I think, have I explained the problem of, I don't know if I've explained the problem of scarcity. So when it comes to the nature and the scope of economics, it is very, very, very wide. But I want to believe that the few things I've explained, you are able to get it. So one of the central problems of economy, let me quickly explain that there are different, central of, the problems of economics. So the first one is what we call, okay, I've explained the concept of scarcity earlier. So then let me explain the central of problems of an economy. So the first one is what to produce. An economy does not have enough resources to produce everything required by it. So that means, one of the things I told you is that the reason why we are making choices is because there is scarcity. Resources are limited. Do you understand now? The resources are what? We have a limited resources, and more of the reason why we make choices in economics. So the producer also makes choices as a result of scarcity too. So that's why they have to ask questions that what exactly can we produce? You can't see a firm that is producing everything. Same firm producing meat, producing foodstuff, producing car, producing services, producing everything. It's not possible. And why is it not possible? Because they also have a limited resources. They would have wished to. But basically because they have a limited resources, so they have to look for something specific that can, add up to the economy for them to remain relevant in the economy. Do you understand now? So it must be selective and decide what to produce and what not to produce. So that's one of the things they should understand. So when some goods are not produced, some want of the society remain unsatisfied. Do you understand? So the fact that, let's say for instance, we have two products, product X and product Y. So the fact that they are not producing two products doesn't mean that another company, or let me say another, like producer are not producing what they are not producing. And by so doing that, so it is called the allocation of productive resources. So meaning if some factors of production are employed into the production of X to that extent, so this will no longer be available for production of product Y. So the problem can be illustrated as the PPC curve, which I'm going to explain later. Then we have the how to produce. So this is a problem which covers the details of the allocation of productive resources in which production of various goods and services. More precisely, we can say that when an economy decides to produce X, it has also to work out exactly how much of labor, capital, and land. We have four factors of production, right? We have land, labor, entrepreneur, and capital, and both of them has their own reward. You understand that. But more specifically, land might not be really classified under one of the the major factors included in production, not because it's not necessary, but there are some two major factors we have to consider, which is labor and capital. So every producer needs those three things, which is the capital, the land, and the labor. But the most important one they should understand more is labor. Do you understand? And capital. Do you get what I'm saying now? Then we have another one, which is room to produce. A society comprises a large number of individual and household. So all the output of consumption, goods and services is ultimately meant for their use. So therefore, all goods and services produced are to be distributed among individuals and the household. So these are the things you basically have to understand. Then we have the problem of growth. So this will be more explained more in when we get to microeconomics. So every economy seeks to increase its stock or capital to increase its production capacity and thereby generate more income. So the generated income in an economy has two alternative use. So which is what we call the consumption, expenditure, and what we call the savings. Do you understand now? So most especially, there's something you have to understand is that your income is dependent on two major factors. So which is, if an individual is not saving, that means you are consuming. So meaning once you get your income, is either you are consuming or you are saving. Is either you are consuming part or you are saving part of it. So there's always a percentage that goes to savings, and there's always another percentage that goes towards consumption. So maybe later when we get to the macroeconomics concept, I'll begin to understand the changes in the changes that might occur in those two subjects. And what are the two subjects here? I'm talking about the consumption and savings. So both of them are dependent on income. Do you get what I'm saying now? So there's a percentage of income that goes to consumption, which can be explained by what we call the marginal propensity to consume, MPC, or we can also call it the slope. Do you understand? Then we have the marginal propensity to save, which can also be explained, under the concept of which can also be explained as part of the concept that goes towards, or part of the shares that goes towards to savings. Do you understand now? So for you to invest, one of the problems we should understand about growth is that for you to invest, you need savings. So in economics at equilibrium, they will tell you that investment is equals to what? Savings. Do you understand? So we can have a case of when investment equates savings. So when investment equates savings, that means everything you've saved goes straight towards to investments. Do you get what I'm saying? And we can have a case of whereby your investment can be greater than your savings, and your savings can be greater than what? Investment. But at equilibrium, your investment must be equal to your what saving. Most of what I'm saying now, they are microeconomic concepts. So we explain better when we get there. Then we have choices between the private and public goods. So you know what private goods is, right? So when I mean private goods, so there are certain goods, the terms goods here includes service also. So whose availability can be restricted to selected individual. Do you understand now? So for example, a product may be priced in market and only those who pay its price may be allowed to have it. Do you understand? So, and that will bring us to the principle of exclusion. I'm going to give you an assignment. Please read more on principle of exclusion. So in our next class, we are going to deliberate more on that. I think it's 7 already. Then we have public goods. So, public goods, when it is not possible to restrict the availability of a product to selected individual, there are terms as what public goods. For example of public goods are, street lights. Street lights, we believe that governments are the one that own street lights. Do you understand? So that means you can't restrict some people from enjoying street lights. Do you get what I'm saying now? Another beautiful example is roads. So government are the owner of the roads. So you can enjoy some people not to, walk by the road. Do you get what I'm saying now? So these are very good examples for, for public, goods. So in the next class, I will really explain production possibility curve because I don't want to rush it. It's a concept on its own. In fact, for the way forward, you really have to understand the concept of production possibility curve because the economy has to choose between, it's explain how economy chooses between alternative combination of various goods and services. Most especially, it can be capital goods and it can be what? We can have it as a capital goods, or we can have it at the other way. Now we have capital goods and we have the consumption goods. I mean goods consumed. When I mean capital goods, these are the goods that cannot be consumed. Do you understand? So when I mean market goods, we also have market goods. Most especially, there are goods that can be what? That can be consumed. Do you understand? So by the special grace of God, in our next class, we are going to explain. We start from production possibility curve, then from there we move on. So scope and nature of economies, or especially when it comes to introduction to economies, is a very wide course. And I hope I've been able to explain the major things you really need to know. I think I've delved into, even some stuffs are not there in your material. I had to, bring them and explain, so in case they might ask you in the exam. So I think, hope you enjoy the class. Or any question? Do you have any question? Do you have any question? Any question?
Please. No
Any
question.
question?
No question for now. No question for today or per se. So
What did you say?
no question for today.
Okay.
Please, I'm sorry. All the class can we get the hope it's recorded. Okay, it is.
Yeah, it is. I actually recorded the class. The class is on record anyway.
Send to the group chat or to the
Okay, I don't know. Well, that don't worry. I think there's a app created by the management so you can get the records of every class. So do you get what I'm saying now? So you can always get the record of every class. Do you get?
Can we get it? That was what I'm saying. Where can we get it?
Okay, I will. Okay, and don't worry. I will ask. I will ask my boss. Then I'll get back to you in the next class.
Okay.
Are you fine?
I'm fine, thank you.
But I hope everyone has downloaded this, slide so you can go through it.